Hi friends, welcome back to Bytown by Bike. It's a beautiful late April day here in Ottawa, and it's a good thing too, because I'm making my way from Nepean out to Kanata, doing a 20-something K ride to go have Easter dinner with my family. We'll start off our ride by making our way through this extension of the experimental farm pathway. From there, we'll go down through Center Point, cutting through Arlington Woods and making our way to Bell's Corners. Finishing off our ride with a little jaunt for a few kilometers down a rail trail that'll take us the rest of the way out to Kanata. Actually, I think it's part of the Trans-Canada Trail, come to think of it. Now, this little section of the extended experimental farm pathway that I mentioned before is actually pretty fun. A little bit of a climb going up, nothing too serious, but kind of a payoff going down. It's super windy, get some speed up. It's pretty fun. It's shared, so be careful, but I also think you can access the Carlington Park pump track from that trail too. Good to know if you're a mountain biker. Now, my family's not religious or anything like that, so Easter is really just more of an excuse for us to get together and have some fun. I don't even think we do turkey, because my dad says it's foul. Come to think of it, is turkey even like the thing with Easter, or is it more like ham or rabbits or, I don't know, whatever. Tell me about your favorite Easter protein in the comments. Anyway, this year, my sister was kind enough to host, and my wife was kind enough to drive herself and our son out, so that I could have a spare hour or so for this ride. Actually, more like 2, because I'm filming. Thanks, babe. Now, after riding past Algonquin College, we'll take a ride onto the Center Point pathway and pass by Old Nepean City Hall. That's right, if you're from Ottawa, you probably already know this, but for those of you who aren't, Nepean, Kanata, a bunch of other communities surrounding the city used to be their own cities. But then in 2001, there was a big push for amalgamation, so 11 other communities got gobbled up into the larger city of Ottawa. I guess the idea was to create kind of a quote-unquote mega city, geographically at least, because I mean, Ottawa is still pretty small population-wise compared to a lot of cities. Now, for this little section of the ride, we'll have to hop off the pathway for a minute and jump onto Craig Henry Drive. We'll go past Pinecrest Road, where we'll make our way through to Arlington Woods and then back onto another pathway. Now, you want to be careful here because this is actually going through some like residential parks where there's like kids playing and stuff, so just be aware you might see pedestrians around. There's also like a really cool ravine just over to the left that's just kind of neat to have in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Now, having lots of pathways is an area where Ottawa really excels in terms of cycling. In terms of road riding, we could do with a lot more separated bike lanes and some better infrastructure, but to give you an idea, I mean, this was a 23-ish kilometer ride, and I think I did maybe 2 or 3 kilometers of that on roads, so good pathway networks. And that suits me fine. I mean, I love road cycling, I love urban riding and the excitement, but there's something really meditative about just being able to zone out, not worry about cars, and just kind of enjoy the scenery around you and get into a vibe. What's your favorite kind of ride? You like chilling out on a pathway, or you like riding for your life in urban mayhem? Let me know in the comments. Speaking of vibes, this little section of the trail has them in spades. This is Bruce Pit. It's a former gravel and sand pit, but today it's better known for being a dog park. There's also a couple kilometers of great little cycling trails or for jogging, whatever. But it's kind of cool to have doggos like running up beside you on the trail. Don't worry, it's fenced off, so no dogs are going to like run into your bike or anything like that, but it's a good vibe. This is another thing that Ottawa's objectively really great for, is having these spaces in the middle of the city that make you feel like you're right in the country. Like if you're just kind of letting your mind wander and enjoying your ride, it's easy to forget that you're in the middle of a city with like a million people. It's cool. So exiting Bruce Pit, we'll ride briefly along Cedarview Road here before taking a left across the 416 and making our way into Bell's Corners. Now, normally I'd resign myself to being on road for a little bit at this point, taking a right on Cassidy Road and linking up with Robertson Road until I get to that rail trail that brings me to Kanata. But I remembered that there was some kind of little forest trail in behind Bell High School here, so I decided to take a detour. And I'm glad I did, despite the first little bit being, I think, not meant for cyclists. The rest of the trails were great. I had no idea where it was going to shoot me out in Bell's Corners, but whatever, sometimes you just gotta explore. Now, as someone who came back to cycling kind of later in my 30s or whatever, that's kind of part of what made me fall back in love with it, was the sense of like freedom and exploration. Just like, you can just go wherever you want, keep going, stop, whatever, who cares? But it's just kind of that sense of like, I can go anywhere and do anything. It just makes you feel like a kid again. Now, especially if you're someone who like came back to or discovered cycling recently, I'd be really curious to know like what feeling does it give you that kind of fills a gap emotionally for you? And you know, if you've been doing it a long time, what keeps you motivated? Let me know in the comments. So this is our last little stint on the road before we get to the rail trail in Bell's Corners. It's along Robertson Road, which is typically the kind of road that I try to avoid. I mean, like 4 lanes of traffic, tons of congestion, and as a result, a lot of kind of angry motorists too. But today, it was a holiday. Super chill, not a lot of cars, very comfy. So here is the rail trail that we've talked so much about in all its glory. Now, to make our way to Kanata, we cross over Robertson Road on this trail, but there's also a little detour you can take before the bridge, which can take you out to another trail network, which will bring you down past the D&D headquarters at Carling and down to the Ottawa River Pathway, ultimately. And from there, heck, you can go all the way to the other end of the city. Well connected is our Ottawa Pathway infrastructure. But of note, this is also sort of the start of another really kind of epic trail network. From Bell's Corners, you can take this rail trail right through Kanata and Stittsville, all the way down to Carleton Place. From there, it connects you with the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail, which runs from Arnprior all the way down to Smith Falls, which is also part of the larger K&P network, which can bring you all the way down to Kingston or up to Pembroke. Pretty cool. Now, I grew up out in Kanata, so this part of the trail kind of brings back a lot of memories. From exploring the woods with my buds, trying to catch frogs and stuff when I was younger, to trying to recreate the bush party scene from Dazed and Confused when we were dumb teenagers. Dating myself a bit there. Tip of the iceberg, that is. Let me know about some of the dumb stuff you did as a teenager in the comments. But now that I'm a responsible adult, it's worth mentioning that this section of the trail is shared by a lot of pedestrians, folks walking their dogs, all that stuff. So, be mindful, be respectful, lots of room for everybody. And with that, we arrive into Kanata. And actually, I think this part of Kanata is now part of Stittsville, but none of this existed when I grew up out here, so I don't know. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video or found this at all interesting, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing with a friend, commenting, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Ride well, friends.